Hey guys, so I'm just going to be doing my reaction review to Arrow Season 7, Episode 10, My Name is Amiko Queen. So, as I've expected from the Flash episode where Grant Gustin wasn't in very much, um, because they were filming the crossover, as predicted, we didn't see much of Oliver, Felicity, or Curtis. I mean, it was pretty. It was pretty centered around like basically like Renee and Curtis for the Renee and Emiko for the most part, and you found out that she's the illegitimate daughter of Robert Queen and uh, trying to remember the I don't know of a woman, an Asian woman living in the Glades who he basically abandoned them just for the sake of trying to keep his marriage together. And although after he died, he did leave posthumous instructions for Walter to just have some money sent over for them to provide for them. But because Mora found out about them, um, she prevented that info from ever getting over to Walter. And Amiko basically was growing up in the Glades. Apparently, her mom was murdered, and she was shot. Apparently, she was shot, and the killer like set it up, set the apartment ablaze to make it look like it was some kind of accident. But she, I guess finding out about the bullet being shot before, like she knew better, and that's why she's taken on the mantle of the Green Arrow, especially after during Oliver's stint in prison. She's been trying to find the killer for the past year, and it didn't really explain like how she got the suit or the training, or even how she even has like trick arrows, like explosive arrows. Um, but basically, she's been trying to. Basically, the list that she was carrying around, or like all the people, and she was going after, have been all the people that were involved in the murder and the cover up. So she's been going after them one by one and telling Renee when she had to go to him after getting injured in an assault and getting shot, and having to go to Renee to have her be patched up, saying it's like, okay, she's still trying to do like the lone wolf thing, kind of like how Oliver was in I guess like the first few episodes of season 1. And of course, and you have the side plot with, I guess because she left some blood behind when she jumped out the window, and she has Felicity analyzing the shard, and of course they start to find out who she is, and they start looking through some old files, and like Oliver's just devastated by the fact that about what his father did, or at least by the very fact that he has a second family, not only having a second family but also abandoning them basically, and they had to fend for themselves, and he feels like he's kind of fed up about, he's been trying to right his father's wrongs, but then he keeps finding about more he seems to keep figuring out more secrets that he's been hiding from his family, and it seemed like this was kind of the last straw for Oliver, and just said what he did was unforgivable. But Felicity did encourage him to go and reach out to her, which she does by the end of the episode, and you kind of just wish she just went up and just gave her a hug. Like she looked like she just needed it, considering how much she's lost and how little she's had and had to fight for. But I gotta say, I like the actress and I like the character. She's been definitely a good. She's definitely. I have no complaints about the actress of the character. I think she's a great addition to the show, and she'll make a great foil for. It'll be an interesting dynamic for Oliver, and make a great foil for him to kind of compare and contrast to see like how far he's come from when he originally started out to how he's fighting crime now. I guess it's sort of Oliver's like the only family she has left, so it's also all the more reason he originally didn't want to barge into her life, but I guess after finding out how she's basically been abandoned and encouragement from Felicity, she decided to do that. Um, so it'll be interesting to see. Maybe since they can't have two Green Arrows, so it'll be interesting to see if she'll take on another superhero moniker. And the flash forwards they've been interesting, but it had like a twist in which it turns out that in the late 2030s, Renee is now the mayor of Star City, or at least the mayor of the Glades, because apparently the Glades have become like the nice part of town, and everything outside of the Glades have become the shitty part of the city. So it's an interesting reverse, and Zoe's acting as his chief of staff, but apparently he has no interest in helping out the Glades, helping anybody outside of the Glades. He's just worried about that part of the city. And we see him like, fairly older, and with a wig, wearing a wig that's not the actor wearing a wig that's not too convincing. But apparently Zoe's just kind of disgusted about his callousness and just willing to just only focus on the Glades, even after Dinah comes him invoking like the Mark of Four, about the promise they made to each other about counting on one another, regardless of what anything that happens, and also learning of Felicity's murder. It turns out that some kind of business partner he has, or I guess like he's been like a power broker that I guess helped Renee get into office, was apparently responsible for apparently he admitted to being behind the murder to Renee, and basically that he's the one who took the plans to has the plans to level the rest of Star City as a means of cleaning it up. So basically doing an undertaking 2.0. And it didn't seem like Renee was that bothered by it. So it's like, how far, I mean, I guess he was a little surprised about Felicity's being murdered to go through with it, but it's like how deep, like how much of his actions is he looking the other way and sanctioning, which is kind of disturbing. But at the same time, it's like I felt like I'm kind of tired of the back and forth between Renee being an ally and then taking on an antagonistic role. But apparently it won't be until like episode 16 apparently, where they'll have like a flash forward centric episode that will answer a lot of the questions of how things came to be in the future. But I don't know. But yeah, it was like Renee. It was basically a very Renee and Emiko Queen centric episode, and I thought it was a really solid season premiere. It fleshed out her character more. I'm totally on board. Like I said, totally on board with her. Look forward to seeing more of her and seeing how they're going to be working together, especially since Diggle had the bright idea in order to figure out like who's funding the longbow hunters now, that in order to get Diaz's cooperation, he promised them freedom, but he did that under the guise of apparently, I guess, so he doesn't have to worry about like Argus oversight, like reinitiating the Suicide Squad program, except calling it we call it the Ghost Initiative, which I guess is like the way of being able to bring the group back to the show and not worry about movie embargoes from the Warner Brothers movie division. But having the fact they're gonna have Diaz on the team, apparently supposed to feature Joe Wilson, Cupid, and China White, and from the looks of the previews I've seen so far, it looks like the shit's gonna hit the fan, and the whole plan's gonna blow up in their faces, like trying to control all of them. And I'm kind of I just feel like indifferent to Diaz. I'm not really like, I'm glad there's not like a big bad, but it's like, it seems like they're making him a big bad again. I mean, given that he's probably not gonna get out from under their thumb. But it's like, he's not the kind of villain who deserved to be to be a big bad for like 2 seasons in a row, especially considering how much he's been relying on plot armor to menace the team. But other than that, But other than that, I think I give this like a solid 9 out of 10, and I'm looking forward to what's coming up. And like I said, this has been a really solid season so far. There hasn't really been an episode I've been like disappointed with or hated. It's like the show's been firing on all cylinders again. Beth Schwartz taking over the show was one of the best things to happen to the show in years, because in my opinion, this is the best season of the show since season 2, and I always thought that was the best season of Arrow, and I feel like this season has been giving that season a run for its money, which is really saying something positive about the season. So, do you guys feel the same way? What do you think about this episode? What do you think of Emiko Queen? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. If you like this video, like, share, and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.